Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. In a stirring turn of events, it is raining in England, but because it is below freezing, that rain is coming down as snow. I know what you're wondering. Does that make the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers wear long sleeves? Not if you're bald John Green, it doesn't. He's back after his injury, heroically replaced by Stone Cold Steve of the Sea Austin. But bald John Green is back, and he's in great shape, looking fantastic. He may tire a little bit today. We may have to substitute him out at the end of the game, but very proud of him. Today we're playing Bolton in the Premier League. Bolton sadly relegated. I feel really bad for Bolton. They were relegated to the Championship this year, even though, you know, they struggled all season, but they really deserve to stay up, and I really like them and their players. And, of course, this year particularly with the injury to Fabrice Muamba, who had a heart attack on the field in the FA Cup quarterfinal against Tottenham, and his heart stopped beating for 78 minutes. Did not beat on its own for that 78 minutes. I just really wanted them to stay up. Muamba, I should add, for those of you who don't know, did recover. No brain damage or anything. It's not clear whether he'll ever play professionally again, but, I mean, it's just really great to, and I know all the Bolton fans, really everyone in the world of soccer feels this way. It's just really great to see him with his family. Almost an immediate goal for Mother John Green. Today I'm going to talk to you about writing projects that I've worked on. I talked in the last two videos about my high school and college writing life, and today I'm going to talk about my writing life in the first couple years after college. I was working on a number of stories after I graduated from college, but most of the look at bald John Green's beautiful mustache. Most of them were about children, sick children, and a hospital chaplain. I'd worked as a hospital chaplain, and I think that heavily influenced my what I wanted to write about. I think a lot of it was me wanting to process a lot of what I'd seen for myself. Oh, look at that out of nothing. Other John Green with a gorgeous goal. People say he can't score with his head. Well, what just happened? Who's number 12? Who put that ball in? That was beautiful. Actually, I don't know if he did score with his head or if he kind of scored with his belly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It went in the net, and I'm very proud of them. This is the new Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers, ladies and gentlemen. Ever since that battle royale in Sweden or whatever it was, we've just been a far better team. Far, far better. Playing with tons of guts, just playing together, playing as a team, seeing where each other is going. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. Bald John Green still can't make a cross to save his life, but other than that, it's just awesome. So proud of the guys. So, I was working on those hospital chaplain stories, and I would send them into Christian fiction, literary magazines. I mean, sort of the liberal Christian magazines I liked a lot, and I always got rejected. But that's really what I thought I was writing. I mean, I was trying to write adult literary fiction, and that was what I really wanted to be, was an adult literary fiction author with that sort of, that was the world I imagined. And I think, most of that had to do with the fact that I was a fairly ambitious writer, and I wanted, the people I wanted to recognize me and to think that I was good were people in that world of look at that, almost, of adult literary fiction. And the thought of writing for teenagers had never really even occurred to me because, in my mind, I was going to be this, guy who wins the Pulitzer Prize and yada, yada, yada. Now, I knew I wasn't that great of a writer, but I really thought I could, should have passed. I really thought I could get better. It was a real sort of frustration for me to not, in those early days, not feel like I could, I knew I was writing a lot better than I had in high school or college. Like, I knew that I'd figured out mostly through reading. And the other thing is that during this time I was reading, like more than 100 books a year, because I was reviewing a lot for Booklist magazine where I was working. And so I was reading a ton. I was reading a lot of good fiction and a lot of bad fiction, and in all that reading, there's no question that I learned a lot about how other writers were telling stories, how they were using language to trick people into thinking that the things that they were reading about were were real and really mattered. And that, yeah, that trick, oh, almost. Just got a finger to it there, the Bolton keeper. Bolton keeper doesn't seem to be enjoying the weather. Swindon Town, on the other hand, we love the snow. We thrive in it. Give us the worst weather possible, and all we'll say is more. Speaking of more. Oh, you just gotta turn it in. Just schmurg. Just schmurg. Yeah, not that way. The other way, just schmurg it in. Maybe I should have hit not hit the finesse shoot button there. Anyway, I did my best. That's all I can do. And we're winning. Now, that doesn't mean we'll be winning at the end, but we're winning for now. And I'm very proud of the boys. The other thing that I was working on at the time were short stories related to what became Looking for Alaska. I didn't think of myself as a novelist, and my understanding of the world of fiction was that you wrote a bunch of short stories and you sent them to literary magazines, and hopefully one of them published them, and then after that, after all that happened, was when you would then write your novel. But you usually had a book of short stories that came out first, and that's still true for a lot of writers who write for adults. But somewhere during this process, I became aware of young adult fiction and what was happening in young adult fiction, which was that there were these radically good books coming out that I started reading because of my work at Booklist, and I just couldn't believe. Where did that ball come off? Oh, was it can I see one more replay? I just want to know how I scored, just for future reference. Looks like an own goal. Whatever, it went in the net. That's all I care about. Congratulations. We had 4 shots and one of them was on target, and that one went in. We've had more than one shot on target. Anyway, I don't want to fight with you, computer, but I think we all know I had more than one shot on target in the first half. So when I realized that A, that young adult fiction was a really interesting place to publish, and B, that the stuff that I was writing was terrible cross, was all kind of young adult fiction, that was when I started to think, well, this thing that I'm working on, it should be a novel. It shouldn't be a short story. What are you doing, Ricardo Bunsen-Burness? Stay in your box, sir. Context is everything. And that's when I started to really focus on the idea that this thing that I was writing, which at the time was about 2 best friends going to boarding school together, that this thing that I was writing could be a novel. Now, the novel I ended up writing was vastly different from the novel. Obviously I wanted you to pass to your husband in that situation. Here's a rule of thumb, Bald John Green. When I hit the pass button, send it in to your husband for me, because that's who I'm trying to send you to. Always. Oh, not a good cross. It's a little frustrating. But the important thing is that we're still winning here, and it's snowing, and we're usually good in the snow, so we should be fine. Nice. Oh, almost a very nice through ball there. So these twin realizations: A, that I didn't want to write adult literary fiction, and B, that the thing that I was working on would probably work better as a novel than as a series of interconnected short stories or whatever I was imagining it as. That is what sort of initially led to the possibility of Looking for Alaska. Now, I should add that in all of this, I was heavily guided and influenced by my mentor, who you've all heard me talk about before if you've watched many Vlogbrothers videos, Eileen Cooper. Eileen was the person who turned me on to young adult fiction. Eileen was the person who read my stories and said, these are great, but they read to me like the most interesting parts of them are not the parts where you're so pleased with yourself about what a fancy adult literary fiction writer you are, but the parts where you're writing dialogue and thinking through ideas that would resonate with teenagers, and that this would be a good place for me to publish, and also a good way for me to think differently about my work. Because I think you know, Kurt Vonnegut said once that all writers write for an audience of one. And I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's a nice line. Come on, we're better at crosses than that, guys. What is the issue? Is it the cold? It must be the cold. Look at Fitzhall. He's just relentless. Just absolutely relentless. Oh, there was a nice run there. Nice run there by Fahey, but it was all for nothing, as it so often is in this life. What's the issue there? Oh, what is the issue? I don't. You get a free kick just because I'm better looking and winning the game? Because that's the only excuse for that free kick I can think of. That was sort of a first-degree Bunsen burner there from Ricardo Bunsen burner, but I'll take it. Yeah, so far, I mean, knock on wood, they haven't shown much attacking prowess. Oh boy, I didn't knock on wood and it showed. All right, here we go. Yeah. Anywhere is good. Anywhere is good in that situation. So, so I think the other thing that really helped me transition from writing these short stories that in the end, you know, that I'm still pretty proud of, but no one will ever read, to writing really for an audience that would be interested in my books. The other really important, oh boy, that was close, facet of that was trying to think of an audience outside that world of me, outside myself as the only, you know, myself, the literary fiction reader, the pretentious 22-year-old, trying to write for someone other than that person was really, really important. And so when I was first writing what became Looking for Alaska, I would address it to this particular 15-year-old I knew, this guy Sam, who was actually the brother of my girlfriend at the time. And I mean, like, I would start each day by writing, you know, Dear Sam, so this happened. That extent of trying to imagine an audience. Now, I don't think that really worked, but I do think that it was an instructive thing in terms of learning about. Come on, ball, John Green. Settle. Get fouled. Settle. Come on, somebody got fouled in that box, didn't they? Oh, it doesn't matter, because guess who just emerged victorious? Bolton smell their pits in shame, and the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers win a game in the Premier League. We're on a roller coaster that only goes up, friends. Yes, but in conclusion, I do think that writing for when you're trying to write for an audience, being conscious of the fact that you're trying to write for an audience can be helpful, at least for me, although certainly I write my books on some level for myself as well, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to write them. Still don't know how that ball went in the net, but boy, did it. Congratulations to the Swoodilypoopers on a 1-0 victory. Best wishes.